is, so you know what to expect if you do this model. Now this is one of the interior parts. It's like a firewall with some of the cables and stuff built into it, which I'm not sure if you can see on the camera. It might not pick that up too well, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 big injector pin marks right on this surface here with all the detail on it. So you'll have to fill those in and sand them off. Otherwise it's really going to stick out, because that's one of the detail walls that you will see if you've got a cutaway model like we're going to have. Some of the parts are a little bit delicate, like on many of the tanks. These handrails are quite long and they're prone to break if you twist them around too much and try and sand them off and smooth them too much. So just be fairly delicate with those. Some of the fit problems, like any model, do dry fitting before you actually glue the parts in place, because some of the fits don't lay down flat, the surfaces don't meet properly, and you will have to do a little bit of sanding and stuff. One of them is the engine grill at the back here. Had to sand that off a little bit to get it to sit down properly, otherwise it was sticking up on one side here. Delicate pieces like our machine gun was a little bit hard, because there's actually 4 pieces that make that machine gun up inside and out, and where it fitted through the porthole there, it didn't quite fit properly, and it's left a little bit of a gap in there that you can see through. So just be a little bit careful with that. Make sure you get it right in there so it fills that hole in properly. Otherwise, if you get that gap and you see a bit of sunlight through it or whatever, that's just going to ruin the whole effect. On the interior we do have a little bit of fine detail, like our steering arms and so on, but most of them fitted okay. Some of them were a little bit delicate. They didn't have a really good recess for them to sit into correctly, so once they were glued they kept wanting to fall over and so on, so just be careful with things like that. But otherwise, so far everything's fitted together, not too bad at all. But let's continue. I just want to mention one part of the model that I found that doesn't match up very well is the gun, the main gun. This is just the start of it here, and I've had to do a lot of sanding and filing and filling and so on just to get it to look semi-okay. Bits don't mesh up properly, the seams stand out. Yeah, so just be prepared. Once you get to the gun, you're going to have to do a little bit of work to get this thing to look okay. Well, I've finally got everything together, the internals all in there and painted and weathered up and everything. Just be warned, so a lot of the parts don't fit correctly. You've got to do a fair bit of trimming and sanding and so on to get everything to fit where it's supposed to go. It's very, very cramped inside there, as you can see. You run out of space very quickly, and that makes painting a little bit hard when you try and do details inside here. If you haven't done them before you put them in and try and paint them once you're in a situation, it's a little bit difficult. But anyway, it's finally come together. All the bits are in there. So the next step is going to start doing some cutting. We're going to cut this part in half down the centre. We're going to do the turret as well. The turret's going to be cut down the centre. So I'll get out the rotary tool and we'll start. Okay, pretty much done now. All I've got to do is put a dull coat over the top. I haven't done any tutorials on the weathering because I actually lost part of the tank and I didn't think I was going to be able to finish it. And when I found it, I forgot to actually do do some tutorials on what I was doing with the weathering, but it was a very basic technique. All I done was gave it an oil wash overall, and that sort of dulled the paint colour down a little bit. I used some pastels in around the road wheels and around the guards and so on, and I faded the paint by putting it's a dry brushing technique, the same as doing dry brushing. You get most of the paint off your brush, then I dab it in around the middle of the panels, and that fades the paint in around the middle of the panels and leaves it dark towards the outside. And that was pretty much it. I rusted up the spare tracks that are on here. I used a pencil to put a like a shiny surface on the road, the part of the tracks that actually touch the ground, and that's about it. I'll take some photos, get some close-up photos so you can have a look, and I didn't do any chipping or anything like that, but it's turned out okay, and you'll see by the photos bits that did and bits that didn't. So okay, well, that's about it for me this time. Enjoy the photos, and I'll see you next time.